Hi there, Salena Kulkarni here with another episode of the Alternative Investing Podcast. My mission is to help business owners build high-performance wealth that delivers reliable, predictable cash flow through unconventional strategies so they can fast-track their path to financial freedom. Each week I share with you the strategies, expert interviews, and real people's stories around the topic of wealth and financial freedom. And if you're a business owner who wants to learn more about financial freedom through alternative methods, please head over to my website, freedomwarrior.com.au, where you can access my library of articles, interviews, and programs to help you on your way to becoming more financially free. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am very excited today to give you an inside look into what a $1 million network actually looks like and why it's so valuable and why so many people call it legal insider trading. So I have literally just finished running our mastermind intensive for Freedom Warrior for our tribe this weekend, and it was so much fun and it was amazing. And in spite of the fact that many of us are in lockdown right now, what I was really happy to see was everyone still played full out, and no question, everyone had a lot of fun. One of the guests that I had there this weekend made a comment, and I thought I'd use it to kind of create today's podcast. But his comment was, look, this was a mind-blowing experience. And he'd really sat on the fence for a little while about, what the program was about. But he made a comment, which I thought was intriguing, but he said he understands exactly why I don't showcase the network that sits inside of the program more directly. So let me give you the facts. The truth is there is no shortage of opportunity in the world, but I really believe that the stellar opportunities are actually coveted by a few. I think the real edge as an investor, as I've talked about in other episodes, comes from having a solid plan that lays out your possibilities and access to epic deal flow or an ability to create opportunities for yourself. And then the final piece is the developing of annuities, so income streams that last indefinitely so that you can actually experience true autonomy. And that means the freedom to choose how you spend your time. So some of you have heard me talk about this as the freedom formula in other episodes, which I encourage you to go back and listen to. But what I really wanted to kind of highlight today is the real edge, which sits inside of part 2, which is the access piece, really boils down to your capacity to develop what I call $1 million network. Let me explain to you why, first of all, I think most investors flounder. First of all, they're chasing deals. There is no question in a heated, and I like to use the word frothy market as we're seeing today, people are paying over the odds, potentially over what people regard as sensible prices, simply because they just want to get their foot in the door on a deal. And I understand that. Like, I've certainly had the experience, particularly in my early years of investing, where I felt like the competition was cutthroat. The way that real estate agents would describe deals is, we had X number of people turn up to see this deal today. And that's really, overwhelming. And so what often happens is we stretch and pay over the odds because we just want to get a deal under our belt. So that's one reason why I think I see, investors floundering. The next is, most investors who invest in majority of strategies which are available to us in the mainstream market are banking on a rising market, because that's just simply the way these strategies work. We've talked about many times the idea that, Australia and New Zealand represent some of the best real estate opportunities in the world. However, the caveat on that is it's expensive. And for you to make money, majority of those deals require a rising market to succeed. So that's kind of like, I guess, a good and a slightly narrow way of gleaning success. And then the third reason that investors really flounder, I feel, is that they don't actually know who to trust or to get honest advice from. There's no question that the industry surrounding wealth and finance is kind of, full of wannabes and people who are really good at marketing rather than, really knowing their stuff. And I'm not arguing that paying fees to get a good service is not okay. Like, I think that's actually reasonable. I think if someone can give you an edge or give you advice that gives you a clear ROI, then by all means, then pay for it. But what I also see out there are lazy wealth professionals who get paid based not so much on the success that they deliver you, but on basically knowledge that they share, theoretical knowledge that they share. And I think there's a lot of people out there who don't really walk their own talk. So not so much sharks, well-intentioned people, but basically, I think that's led to a real a negative green cloud, if you like, that sits over the wealth creation industry. So ultimately, what investors are worried about is if they put their faith in the wrong people, then they're going to end up wasting time and possibly even risking their capital. But I guess the hope or the silver lining that I want to share with you today is that if you get this piece right, if you kind of can wrap your head around the value that comes with having a killer network, $1 million network, then you can be picking deals, cherry picking deals well before you have the money. You're not competing alongside other investors. People will supply you with deals as and when you want them. So you're not in that FOMO or fear of missing out phase of investing. The second thing is you can tap into strategies that thrive in any market conditions. So if we lift our gaze and look beyond the traditional, and this is really what this podcast is all about, there are strategies out there that will work regardless of whether the market goes up, down, or sideways. And there are people who know exactly what the tremors in the market are and how to pivot strategies to take advantage of, new loopholes and opportunities that arise. So, that capacity to tap into strategies that thrive in any market conditions is definitely something that's given me an edge for quite a few years now. And then the third piece is that if you find investors that have the results that you want, you will get insights that you're not going to find in the media. You're not going to find on the internet. You're going to find insights that are kind of unfolding as they happen and are not reported, many months or years down the track. How many times have I seen a news headline or a media report kind of trying to showcase some shift in the market, but perhaps people who are in the know have maybe been aware of that opportunity, months and years ahead. So ultimately, what all of that means is that you can leverage your network to avoid the landmines, protect your wealth, and access opportunities that completely outperform the market. And that is really the ultimate dream of most people from an investment perspective. What I want to share with you today are really 3 keys to how to go about building that $1 million network, what I did. And maybe if I kind of just step back, I'd love to start by maybe even defining what is a $1 million network. So from my perspective, if we're talking about wealth, and I just want to pause for a second and say that one of the things that I never really understood as a skill, but I'm coming to realize has great value, is your capacity to make friends far and wide. I think one of the strengths that I've had, which has really come about more from a place of feeling like I didn't really know much, was my capacity to be very humble and to ask for help when I needed it. And that's kind of probably the thing that's opened one door and then another is that, capacity to continue to be, thoughtful and generous in your approach to how you meet people and thinking more from the space of how can I be of service. So that's my pre-frame anyway. Let me start by describing what I believe to be $1 million network. So for me, $1 million network in the context of wealth is access to the best investors in the world. So people you can call on who perhaps even care about your success, who are really generous with their time and knowledge. And I'm going to just expand on that. I've met people who are great investors, but whose, way of being or personal values just didn't align with mine. And so I've just quietly stepped away from those sorts of people. These are people who have access to private opportunities that will deliver consistent, predictable, sustainable income. These are people who will guide you during difficult economic times, and they'll show you how to protect your wealth and avoid the landmines that people who are maybe not in the know, they don't even see, and who are, and this is the really key piece, I'm always looking for relationships that are likely to be part of my world, not just for one deal, but for the rest of my life. And so that's a really different perspective to going out there and just trying to leverage relationship to get the inside edge on one deal. And so you can understand why, working with people you enjoy, working with people you like is actually really important. I think life's too short to spend time around people that you don't enjoy, that you don't feel alignment with. So I'm probably kind of getting into the weeds here, but I definitely feel like, as I've grown older, I feel more intuitive about the people that kind of resonate. I'm better now than I was when I was younger. I think I was people used to accuse me of being very innocent and being very naive. And I think I'm a very trusting person. And certainly I've gleaned a lot of bruises and cuts from putting my faith in the wrong people. But I think the art of discernment, that capacity to kind of read people better, is definitely one that I've honed over time. So I didn't actually have it in there as a key, but that would be something I think just to be aware of. I don't know that there's any course out there that will teach you that stuff. But I think if you're someone who is open and trusting, the real skill in life is to kind of, sharpen the sword on your ability to use that in a way that not only opens doors for you, but kind of allows you to also have your radar up when you feel like something's a little bit off with people and to notice it. So let me share with you three keys. Three keys that I believe will kind of set you up to build the killer network or the $1 million network that you need to really set yourself apart from other investors. So I've touched on this already, but number one, find the people who have the results that you want and figure out how to become part of their world. And now, look, this could mean that you have to pay for access. Maybe you got to seek professional advice. It may also require you to go out and do some research. The people who are really great at what they do don't necessarily need to do a whole lot of marketing to advertise that they're great at it. Really, their referrals come from existing clients through private networks, and they're not really in the mainstream. They're definitely not the Gary V's of the world, although I think Gary V's pretty cool. But I think one of the things I've learned over time is that the people who are out there, trumpeting their own success and telling the world how great they are, they're not often the ones who are necessarily the people that I want alignment with on the investor front. So it was probably when I stopped looking for famous celebrities and started looking for the quiet achievers and just asking people in my network, who do you know that's really great at this stuff? Who do you know that, has actually practiced what they preach and has, achieved financial freedom by, whatever measure is important to you? So that is a super important key, is find the people who have results that you want. Study them either because you have direct contact or study them from afar. This is the same advice that I give people who I've worked with who are younger, teenagers, people in their early 20s, who want to understand, like, how do you get an edge? And the first thing I say is find people who have the results that you want and find out how they did it. So the advice would be the same for us adults and people who are well established in our lives. Find the people who have the results that you want. Now, for most of you listening, you're probably super successful business owners. So that's an area of life that you've already mastered. But investing, my experience with business owners is that majority are not so great at converting their really awesome income into wealth. So it's a different skill set. And so you need to find people who can show you the way. The second key that I wanted to talk about, and I think, again, I've kind of touched on this a little, is practice humility. The people who are super great at what they do, and if I talk specifically about investors who can not only be great guides, but also supply you or connect you to epic deal flow, the truth of the matter is they don't need our money. One of the comments I made this weekend is that there is more money floating around in the world than there are great deals to match up with. So if you know there's more money out there than great deal flow, you've got to think about what you're going to do to get an edge, and think about, shared values. They actually matter. So as a business owner, you understand that, it's great when your customers are good people. It's great when you can see they share your values, and that's potentially what turns a good customer into a great customer. So from my perspective, ethics matter. Lots of things matter to me, but I guess it's really important that you recognize what your values are, and then see them when you see them in other people, they're the people you want to align with. They become your tribe. I guess moving on to my third key is really be knowledgeable before you approach. So if people are really good at what they do, and assuming that, you need them more than they need you, one of the worst things that you can do is be completely ignorant and not respectful of their time when you first connect. Do your homework. Know the ins and outs of the strategy that they use, and just be really prepared with the questions that you have. Now, I want to kind of also asterisk that with, there are no dumb questions. But, one of the things that's really endearing is when you can see that someone's done their homework, that they understand the opportunity. And I'll give you an example of this. When people come and join Freedom Warrior, there's a vast network of people. And one of the big challenges initially is a little bit of overwhelm about, wow, there's like this network of killer deal makers, killer advisors, and amazing opportunities. Where do I begin? And, we have a process where we kind of, I work with people to help them shortlist, first of all, what strategies are in alignment with their game plan, and then, which trusted advisors are going to, be the best people for them to start with, so that, they're not trying to wade through a large group of people. Now, one of the things that I'm a huge believer on is education and capturing education. So inside of our membership site, we have hundreds of hours of interviews of education and content that are all around these trusted advisors who have very generously and freely, I might add, given their time to me over the years. And so one of the things I say to my guys is, before I do a personal introduction to any of these people will become your network gradually over time. But before I do any personal introductions, it's really important that you completely understand who they are, what they do, how their deals work. And then when you get on a call with them or a Zoom video call with them, you're really clear that you're not going to waste their time and you're just going to zero in on the questions that matter to you. And really, I think I do a good job of that, because usually people have consumed every piece of content about a specific trusted advisor before they get on that call. And so, of course, the guys who are in my world that I really treasure as my network are happy to extend their friendship and services to people in my world, because of the fact that they come at it from a place of humility. They come at it from a place of being educated, and they don't waste their time. They get that these guys are, super, valuable to them, and they use that time, effectively. Where I would like to end off today is I shared a comment on the weekend, and I think it really hit home for a few of my guys. I said, why do you think that I think you joined this mastermind? And, I think tongue in cheek a little bit when I asked this question, but the biggest benefit that I think people see when they come and join a community like Freedom Warrior is, of course, access to me, because I make sure that, you build out an epic plan with lots of possibilities. I make sure you avoid the landmines. I hold your hand, and we have a deep personal relationship that evolves over time. And of course, the other reason is you come because you want access to premium opportunities. So I get that that's on the superficial level, that's the primary reasons that people join. The two things that I articulated that I don't think many of our members fully anticipated before they joined, but now probably grasp at a very deep level, is number one, there's huge value in being part of a community of like-minded investors. I think being in business is lonely, and I definitely feel like when people joined, they didn't anticipate the value that comes from looking over the shoulder of other people, seeing what kinds of deals they're doing, asking, what worked, what didn't work. So these guys become your peers, they become your friends. And then the second piece, which I've kind of touched on a little today, but I really want to spell out, is the opportunity to create relationships with a network of people who will potentially become your advisors for the rest of your life. I feel that a lot of the guys that are part of my world are my friends now. But even if you're not seeking friendship, having relationships for life is really priceless. I won't go down the rabbit hole of ROI, but these are people who will help you, guide you, support you, supply you with deals for the rest of your life. They give you a heads up when economic sands are shifting. And they give you, as I said earlier, legal insider information on how you can beat the market. So an example of this, there's been a lot of talk in, recent months about concerns around pending inflation, and with all of the property markets and share markets going absolutely ridiculous. We're in a very low interest rate environment, and there are a lot of concerns from a lot of people that, we're kicking the can down the road, and that hedging against inflation is a massive issue. I've had at least 15 conversations, maybe more, with my gurus and my network who are really giving me some fabulous insights and ideas for stepping around this issue. How do you hedge against inflation? How do you make sure you don't allow your wealth to become eroded because you haven't got those protective mechanisms in place? So guys, I think I've probably gone down a few rabbit holes today, but let me just summarize by saying the the focus on building a $1 million network is super important. It is what will give you the edge when others are floundering. And it's not something that is rocket science. It's just something that requires you to be human, to be real, to have humility, and to really put some headspace towards it. So anyway, guys, I hope you found this really useful. If you are interested in understanding more about what we do inside of Freedom Warrior, please reach out, get in touch, just email me, salena@freedomwarrior.com.au. Otherwise, I look forward to catching up with you next time. Take care, guys. Thanks so much for listening to the Alternative Investing Podcast. If you're a business owner feeling frustrated that despite doing everything right in the property investing playbook and you're no closer to financial freedom, then head over to freedomwarrior.com.au to learn more about how you can use alternative investments to catapult your investing income and blend strategies to shave decades off your timeline to financial freedom.